Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Jared Bless coming at you guys with my first video back in a minute, guys. This is an MMA channel, you guys know, and I'm gonna say this right now, yo. I'm gonna start doing results, picks, everything related to MMA news. Everything will be on this channel, so make sure you guys stay tuned. This is just beginning. So let's get straight into it, bro. UFC 278 results, man. We're gonna jump straight into it. We're gonna start from the early prelims all the way to the main event. So first things first, we're gonna start with Victor Altamirano versus Daniel Da Silva. Now that match was super interesting because Daniel Da Silva is a finisher. All of his fights end in a finish. Either he gets the finish or he finishes the fight. Victor Altamirano was known for his volume. He didn't really have any finishes in his career other than about 4 submissions and 1 KO. But the fight was pretty entertaining for as long as it lasted. Da Silva dropped Victor Altamirano, but ultimately Victor Altamirano was able to land a nice knee to the body, get on top, ground and pound Daniel Da Silva until he got the finish. So Victor Altamirano ended up coming out with the finish. I had Daniel Da Silva winning that fight, so I was wrong in that aspect, but it is what it is. On to the next fight, we had, I can't even pronounce this man's name. Or I'm gonna say Aori Qlang. Yeah, Aori Qlang versus Jay Perrin. Now that fight was interesting. That was interesting because Jay Perrin, he could have won the fight had he pushed forward and pressured the majority of the fight. But he spent the first round just kind of chasing Aori, and Aori is just a far better striker. Aori hurt him a couple of times. You know, he has some power. Not a super big finisher, but he was coming off of a finish versus Else, and yeah, that power definitely showed on a couple of shots he landed on Perrin. Towards the ending of the second round and towards in the third round, Perrin started to like pressure forward a little bit. He hurt him a lot at the ending of the fight, and it was just too little, too late. If that was a 5-round fight, Perrin would have won. But you know those guys are not gonna be in a 5-round fight. They're not even top 10 rank bantamweight. So yeah, it was what it was for that fight. Good fight nonetheless. Next fight we had was Amir Albazi versus Francisco Figueiredo. And Amir Albazi had took a year and a half off due to injury, but he's super high level. And so is Francisco Figueiredo, Davison Figueiredo's brother. He's super high level on the ground, but man, there's just something about Amir Albazi where he just has this crazy wrestling style and crazy submission style that Francisco's BJJ really didn't do nothing for him. And Amir Albazi ended up getting the finish pretty easily by rear naked choke. So yeah, that was also another good fight. Also, that was in round 1. So round 1 finish. So the early prelims started off really good. 2 finishes, 1 unanimous decision. So the early prelims wasn't bad at all. Next up, we go on to AJ Fletcher versus Ange Loosa. And this fight shocked me. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And I was pretty disappointed in AJ Fletcher's performance because he has the shortest reach in the welterweight division. Yet somehow he did not implement his wrestling at all. It was too little, too late. Ange Loosa started to find his timing, started to find the range, and started to land some right hands on AJ Fletcher. And from that point on, it pretty much changed the fight. AJ Fletcher did have a moment where he almost was able to, get a finish, but he just blew himself out. And pretty much in the third round, he was just laying on his back the whole round. So Ange Loosa ended up dominating the fight. But very, very low IQ. That's one thing I'm starting to notice about AJ Fletcher. His fight IQ is terrible. It's one thing that when you fight on the regional scenes and you get to Dana White's Contender Series and they line you up to win, whatever the case may be. But when you get to the UFC, you're fighting the very best in the world. So if the fight IQ has to be there. You have the talent, all that. No, you have to have fight IQ. So for AJ Fletcher to have the shortest wingspan in the welterweight division and sit there and try to chase on Ange Loosa was just so stupid. So he paid the ultimate price for it with the loss. A man that averages 4 takedowns should not lose that type of fight. I lost money on AJ Fletcher, but it is what it is, man. What can I do? What can I really do? But anyways, man, Ange Loosa won by unanimous decision. Next fight was Luis Saldana versus Sean Woodson. Very weird fight. In the simplest way like this, Luis Saldana had that fight won. He hurt Woodson multiple times on the feet. Woodson looked pretty sloppy. To be that about 6'2" in the 145-pound division, you would think he would be able to, implement some skill there, but he has no real wrestling. He has no real takedown defense. He used to be a boxer. But yeah, Luis Saldana hurt him a couple of times with the check left hook. And when Woodson dropped to the ground, Luis Saldana started to celebrate, whatnot. And then he did an illegal knee, which ended up making the first round a 9-9. And then by the time it got to, the fight continued on. And by the time it got to a decision, the judges called it a split draw. So because of Luis Saldana's immaturity inside the cage, it cost him a damn fight. Now, if this dude was being smart, saying, oh, okay, I'm going to finish the fight, he would be perfectly fine. He didn't have to run and knee him. He could have ran over to Woodson and just finished with some punches. But that's the fight game, man. Next up, we had Jared Gordon versus Leonardo Santos. This fight didn't really shock me. I'm not going to lie. I did have Leonardo Santos in some of my fantasy lineups, DraftKings. But it's understandable. Looking hindsight 2020, it's understandable why he lost. He's just too old at this point. He was coming off back-to-back finish losses, even though he hadn't lost in over 8 years. I mean, the fight game is crazy. Not everybody could be Glover Teixeira or Daniel Cormier or, one of those champs that's 40 years old and still in the game doing their thing. Not everybody can do that. Yoel Romero, that's a tongue twister. But yeah. So yeah, Jared Gordon pretty much controlled the fight. Pretty much no offense from Santos. I don't even think he attempted a takedown. I'm gonna see if I can check right here to see if he attempted a takedown. If they're gonna show me, yeah, he didn't even attempt. He didn't even attempt a takedown. Was outstruck 203 to 41. Significant strikes with 116 to 36. So yeah, it was just like, and Jared Gordon had got some control time. So it was kind of frustrating a little bit because I thought that Leonardo Santos would at least be dangerous in the first round, but he just had no offense, nothing to offer pretty much the whole fight. So the last fight of the prelims was Marcin Tybura versus Alexander Romanov. And this was another frustrating fight because Alexander Romanov literally got a 10-8 in the first round. I don't even think Marcin Tybura landed a strike. It was literally like he landed 0 strikes. Alexander Romanov controlled Marcin Tybura the whole first round. Second round came through, and Marcin Tybura started to defend some takedowns. And Romanov's inexperience started to show, really started to show. And Tybura's experience showed. So it was just Romanov being stupid. I mean, the third round started. He started to he wanted a hug and celebrate, and then he started to do the Muhammad Ali shuffle. It's just so funny to see some of these fighters do some really stupid things. And I take nothing away from fighters because they're the ones stepping in the octagon. But some of these people are really, really stupid. Like the IQ has just been so low these past 4 weeks from some of these fighters, and it's really sad to see because it's like, you're in a fight that's close. Why are you doing the Muhammad Ali? Why are you doing the Muhammad Ali shuffle? What the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? It's it's just so hilarious to see how stupid some of these fighters really truly are. But what can you do, right? What can you do? So yeah, Tybura ended up getting a majority decision. So you could tell that he definitely took over those next 2 rounds because the first round was a 10-8. So it was kind of shocking to see Romanov, undefeated fighter, control Tybura the entire first round, and then Tybura being able to bounce back and make the fight competitive and steal the decision. So shout out to Tybura for that, man. He did what he had to do. Romanov is no longer undefeated. So yeah, on to the next fight. We had Tyson Pedro versus Henry Hunsucker, and Harry Hunsucker, and pretty much the first exchange the fight ended. Hunsucker has never been in a fight that's got out of the first round. So, I mean, pretty much everybody knew that fight was not getting out of the first round. And Tyson Pedro has shown to be dangerous. He can finish the fight by knockout or even submission. And pretty much the first exchange that they had, I think Tyson hit him with a straight and a body kick. And then the fight was literally over. So it was I don't know why that happened. I mean, obviously, Hunsucker was coming off back-to-back losses by finish at heavyweight though. So people kind of thought maybe it could be a little bit different. Maybe there would have been a couple more exchanges. We didn't really expect the first exchange to be, oh, he's gone. So yeah, that was a pretty funny thing to see. Next up, we had Lucy Pudilova versus Wu Yanan. And honestly, Lucy, let me see how you pronounce her name. Lucy Pudilova, she had a bad run in the UFC last time. She was on she lost 5 fights. And they brought her back versus Wu Yanan, who was also on a losing streak herself. So to see Wu Yanan or Lucy Pudilova to get that finish was impressive. And, you can tell that she's been working on her grappling since she had last been in the UFC. That wasn't too much of a big factor, but she worked her grappling and got the TKO finish. So, yeah, good win for Lucy Pudilova. Next up, we had Merab Dvalishvili versus Jose Aldo. And honestly, I knew that Merab was going to win the fight because it was the simplest breakdown. All that's going to happen is that Jose Aldo is going to be defending takedowns the entire fight. Jose Aldo likes to wait. He's not putting out too much offense. He's waiting for you, trying to counter. Jose Aldo's not pressuring for it. He's not, doing that. So, yeah, I mean, great job to Jose Aldo because he defended 15 out of 15 takedowns. I want to just double check to make sure. It was just about 15 takedowns that Merab went for. So people want to try to hate on Merab and say this and that. But he tried to go for the takedowns. He landed 0. It was about 0 for 15. He tried, man. He tried to go for the takedowns. And there was no offense from Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo didn't throw any offense. He just moved backwards, just sat there. So you can't get mad at Merab for doing his job. We know how Merab fights. He's gonna try to get the fight to the ground. But Jose Aldo has some of the best takedown defense in UFC history, 90% over how many fights, over years and years of fights. So clearly he's not easy to take down. So Merab pretty much just pressure forward the whole time. Landed a few good shots. Pretty much just clinch controlled on the cage. Got some good knees to the thigh of Jose Aldo, and he did what he had to do. He outstruck Jose Aldo, and that's pretty much it, man. Like, I mean, what do you want him to do? Like, he did his job. So Merab got the win by unanimous decision. It was pretty frustrating to see Daniel Cormier try to sit there and say, "Oh, this is a close fight to call." Like, that pisses me off, because it's like, yo, this is not like this is like some crazy back and forth fight. Jose Aldo did nothing. Like, people are so biased when it comes to MMA sometimes. It's so annoying. Like, yo, we all love Jose Aldo, but guess what? If he doesn't do his job, he will lose the fight. So that's the way how the fight games work, just in case some people forgot. Like, I know some people don't like to use their brain sometimes, but it is what it is. Going on to the co-main event, absolute wildness. First things first, I want to say, just shout out to Luke Rockhold, man, because the fact that he was not finished was crazy. It kind of shows that, you know, Paulo Costa, he's a good fighter, but he has I don't want to say he has a ways to go, but there's no reason why Paulo Costa shouldn't have finished the fight. Luke was just absolutely gassed. Obviously, the high elevation, the high altitude, whatever, in Salt Lake City definitely played a factor, because a lot of fighters were gassed, and Luke Rockhold was just super gassed, hands on his knees and all of that. And for Paulo Costa to not finish the fight was kind of weird. It was funny how Luke Rockhold was actually able to get some reversals. He got one reversal, and then when he was on top in Paulo Costa's guard, rubbing the blood all over Costa's face. That was a pretty entertaining fight, an entertaining way for Luke Rockhold to go out. Thankfully for him, it wasn't by a finish, so he can pretty much hold his head a lot higher. He's a former champion at the end of the day. That's something that very few people in this world will ever do, and, you know, have the career that he's had. So shout out to Luke Rockhold, man. Nothing but love and respect for him. But yeah, Paulo Costa outstruck Luke Rockhold 106-57. In terms of total strikes, significant strikes, 73-51. Paulo Costa had 2 takedowns, and he had a lot more control time. So that definitely just shows that Luke Rockhold is just that, you know, it's obviously time for him to hang it up. He has other things he can do outside of fighting. Good looking dude, no homo. But hey, the man can do what he can do outside of the cage, man. Go be a model, go do something else, go make some movies, don't come back and put your body through this. You know, Luke Rockhold's body's been through too much KOs, leg damage, all of that. So, you know, it was good to see Luke Rockhold go out in an entertaining style and not being finished. So, last but not least, we gotta take a drink for this one right here, man. Last but not least, we got. Hold on, we gotta turn this down, because I don't want no interruptions when I'm breaking this down right here. None. I don't want no interruptions. Okay. Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. Now, I'm gonna break down the fight from beginning to end. First round, Leon Edwards is able to do something that nobody in the history. Actually, Kobe Covington did do it, but for some odd reason, the stats didn't show. You know how it is with UFC sometimes. It's very random. But officially, Leon Edwards was the first person to sit down Usman. And he got him in the clinch, double underhook, trip, gets a takedown, and full mounts Usman. Something that nobody has ever done. So Leon Edwards had the more bigger actions, and he also controlled Usman from back mount. Was fighting for a rear naked choke. So Leon Edwards definitely won the first round. But from there on out, round 2, Leon Edwards was just pretty much backing up the entire time. Usman started to control the fight, started to land some takedowns, started to land some decent strikes. And in 3 and 4, it was pretty much all in the same. Like, Usman started to take over the entire fight. Leon Edwards kept backing up. He was very accurate with his strikes. That's one thing I can also double check too. He was very accurate with his strikes. From what I remember, it was about 55 out of 75 strikes. Something along those lines where Leon Edwards landed. So he was super accurate. Usman had 5 takedowns, 10 minutes of control time. So like I said, it was 3 rounds to 1. It was 3 rounds to 1. And going into the 5th, pretty much more of the same. Like, Leon wasn't pressuring forward. He wasn't doing anything. Like, he was just backing up, kind of landing a couple of accurate strikes, and then pretty much just getting taken down and controlled. And then in coming the finish of the year, heard around the world. 1-2, shoulder right, come through with the left, force Usman to, slip off to the side, slip away from the side. or slipped to the side, slipped a punch, and he jumped right into a head kick that followed that straight left. So beautiful, beautiful finish by Leon Edwards. Obviously he was losing that fight. He would have lost the fight had it gone to a decision. But this just shows one thing, right? And I want to mention this, and this is no disrespect to Kamaru Usman. I would say he definitely is the second greatest welterweight of all time, but he was not the pound for pound. If we're being realistic, if we're being real, the pound for pound #1 fighter is Jon Jones. It's just Jon Jones. Like, if he comes back and wins, he's going to instantly be implemented right back in the pound for pound. We know who the pound for pound is. It's Jon Jones. But if we look at who Usman beat, I'll give Usman credit for the Colby Covington fights. But in terms of what happened in those fights, the first fight versus Colby Covington, he was hit a lot. You know, he was stunned a few times. The second fight versus Colby, he was literally wobbled at the ending of the 4th round, I want to say it was. One of the endings of the rounds, he got badly wobbled, like he stumbled a little bit, and the round just ended. So you're getting stunned and wobbled by Colby Covington, who's not known to be a power puncher. Obviously, they were going to be on the feet the entire time because they both wrestle and it negates each other out. But to get stunned by Colby shows you can be hurt. Also, he was hurt by Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns is a 155er, and like you don't see Gilbert Burns really dropping too many people at 170. You know what I mean? You know, I'll be fair, he did knock out Damian Maia, but you know, that was Damian Maia at the end of his career. But you guys get the point. He was hurt by a 155er, and you know, Jorge Masvidal really didn't present Usman with anything. But I say all of that to say this: it showed that Usman can be hurt, he can be hit, and going against Leon Edwards, who's a precise striking sniper, Usman, you know, it showed like if Leon can land something, he can end the fight. And obviously his accuracy throughout the fight showed that. So that's pretty much how that fight went. Leon winning the first round, Usman winning rounds 2, 3, 4, and getting ready to finish off winning 5, and then getting caught by a head kick. GSP still the best welterweight of all time. GSP had about 9 title defenses, so you can't compare. And you know, worst of all, Usman just lost. Not only did he lose, he got knocked out on his best night versus Leon Edwards. And Leon Edwards got a knockout finish on his worst night. So that's going to definitely play with Usman's mind a little bit. He has a strong mind, definitely showing to be a champion. He's definitely a true champion. But to lose a fight that you were winning on your best night and to lose to a guy that had his worst performance and he still was able to land a knockout like that, it's crazy. But it's funny because Masvidal tried to jump in and say he wants, I heard we doing a 3-piece in soda in England. Hamza was laughing. But what's going to be next for the division, what I think they should do, I think obviously, the UFC is pretty much booked up until January. So maybe, depending on how quick Leon wants to come back, the next person that would be in line, it would have to be, I don't think there's really nobody that's, obviously Hamza. If Hamza wins, then you give Hamza that fight. But let's say, for example, Usman wants to come back quickly for some reason, which he shouldn't because he got badly knocked out. He should take some time off, at least a year, to prepare for the rematch. I think he should take some time. That way you could do Leon versus Hamza. But if for some reason Usman does come back earlier than that year period, I think he should take off because it should be like a 6-month suspension. So what's today? August. So September, October, November, December, January, February. So yeah, around February he'll be cleared to go up to that point. So if he wants to start to go back that quick, I mean, not smart. But yeah, do Hamza versus Leon, and if not that, if he comes back, make Hamza fight Israel at 185. Especially if Israel beats Alex Pereira, there's really no next contender in the 185 division. So you give Hamza that title shot. That's a fight that everybody would want to see. So a lot of interesting things to unfold. We'll talk about more of that in another video. But guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, subscribe. That's just my my reaction to the results of UFC 278. And yeah, we'll see what's next for Leon. I say that Usman takes some time off. We'll see if Leon ends up fighting either Hamza or Colby. We'll see how everything unfolds in the welterweight division and what's going to be next for that whole picture, how it's going to play out. So like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's your boy, Jared Bless. And I'll see you guys in the next one, man. Peace.